energy industry is facing a new era of leadership that will shape the future of the energy system through collaboration, competition, and security. The new leadership will tackle the most pressing challenges of energy security, economic competitiveness, and global prosperity as the world moves into the next phase of energy transformation. All this and more are on the table for discussion today in Washington, D.C., as the Atlantic Council opens the first day of its 2025 Leadership Forum with energy industry leaders and other experts in attendance. Let's grab a few soundbites from them.
In terms of the markets, Amos said 5-6%. Let's say the price of oil is up 5 or 10% today, whatever it may be. Put in context, in the 70s, during the embargo, the price of oil tripled. During the Gulf War, the price of oil doubled. We're talking about 5%, 10% movement. So it is important to put all of this in context. Now, the market has been working relatively well. A lot of uncertainties around the world with a lot of issues. Clearly, whether it be Venezuela, whether it be shale oil, whether it be terrorist economic growth, what's happening in Libya, the list goes on. But the market's been working reasonably effectively. And what you're seeing is people trying to predict the answer to the question that Amos was just being asked, which is what's going to happen. And the reality is we don't know what's going to happen. At least I don't know what's going to happen and what the various responses are going to be. What I do know is that there are two sides that may be fighting for, in their minds, their survival. And that's quite different to fighting maybe over a piece of land. So we don't know what's going to happen. And the only thing that you can say in that context about what's happening in the oil price world will be we can expect volatility. That is the only thing, Dan, that I think is predictable right now. And you're seeing that every day on whatever news flow is coming or going, is you're going to expect a lot of volatility. And until we know whether certain terminals get taken out, whether there's a blockade, what's going to happen, as Amos rightly said, are other places hit? We don't know, but you can expect a lot of volatility and you can expect a lot of people in companies like BP and Exxon and Shell and so on and so forth, worrying about how they're going to keep their customers in stock, how they're going to take care of their people as they navigate ships throughout the region and so on and so forth.
Okay, so let's shift the conversation over to energy and AI. And I want to thank both of you for your contributions there, because I do think this is a really important part of the conversation. Bernard, you've gone from leading a super major. Now your focus is on net positive AI, which is equally as ambitious. So what does net positive AI actually mean? And how are you thinking about this convergence of energy and AI in this macro environment? It's certainly the topic du jour right now.
Well, it's, look, things have to be pretty simple for me. So net positive AI is a pretty simple concept, which is simply, like anything in life, there are positives and negatives. And there are many negatives that we read a lot about around AI. It could be jobs, it could be deep fakes, it could be in the energy world. It's all about the energy consumption and the incredible power consumption that we have. So there are negatives to things. And at the same time, there are positives. Now, as is often the case, we read more about the negatives than we do about the positives. And I think there are some extraordinary positives around AI. And I would go so far as to say, I actually think we should feel very fortunate to live in the age of AI, because I think the potential, whether it be on the healthcare front, medicine, Alzheimer's, cancer, you name it, is tremendous. And on the energy side, it's also tremendous. We have major issues with our infrastructure, and we keep talking about building new infrastructure and permitting and planning, and how do we do that? But before you do that, you should make sure you're getting the most out of the infrastructure that you have. And AI has got enormous potential. Dynamic load ratings on power lines, being able to predict the weather patterns so that if it's cooler, we can get more current through the line. We can do that, plan for that. AI can help us do things that our minds simply can't do on their own. and optimize, predict demand before it happens such that we can get the supply patterns right. It can help us on permitting. You've all seen the thousands of pages of documents that get put together that take literally months and in some cases years. If AI can help us cut through some of that, and it can. So there's huge upsides. We need to talk more about them. We need to minimize the negatives, such as building more efficient infrastructure. And net positive is simply saying, let's make sure that the benefits of AI vastly outweigh the negatives. And that's what the agenda is about.
The AI energy nexus that we're now all talking about is a brand new concept. And we started it out by, look, I didn't know anything about AI, and 2 years ago, I came into this because I sat in a couple of meetings and the heads of a number of the AI companies coming to the White House briefing, and I was interested. I sat in, and as the CEOs of the top hyperscalers in AI talking, and they're all saying, we're going to build a gigawatt cluster. And somebody says, the goal is a 5 gigawatt. And I'm starting to like, wait a minute. You mean power, right? Like, where are we going to get this power, right? So that we got into the conversation, I entered into the AI conversation through the power angle of this doesn't make any sense. We don't actually have this capability. And then people talk about the grid. I was like, we don't have the grid in the United States. We have multiple grids, and they don't all communicate with each other. And so one is the energy nexus is the energy that will be required to power AI, and without it, we will not be able to remain the lead. The second piece, as Bernard is talking about, is AI's impact on the energy industry itself, and which is significantly behind. If you look at AI integration into energy, and energy, I mean generic, right? So from power to pipelines to, and from power, I talk about generation, transmission, pipelines, production. We're still using, basically an abacus for some of how the trading of molecules and electrons are going. So I think the potential is enormous. The question becomes, what is financeable? Because we spend a lot of money on AI right now, but not a lot of AI makes money. So how much longer can we finance these things? And even on the question of the energy for AI, even there, we're talking now for 2 years about building out energy systems. We're not actually doing it because infrastructure finance is really, really scarce in the United States. And somebody has to take some of the, where's the cost who's gonna pay for it? And it's a very different kind of demand than we've ever seen. All our demand additions in the United States have been, or around the world, have been with advent of new technologies that said we'll have peaks. So I'm adding to peaks, right? So we start with appliances and electrification.